So, for many of my long-time viewers, and for even many of the new people that have joined us, especially this year, that have hugely grown this channel, welcome. I hope you're all enjoying yourselves, because this is one roller coaster that is going to have continuous ups and downs and loop-de-loops. So I hope you're strapped in, because once again we are discussing that most elusive unicorn of Brexit, because we were all told Brexit was going to be wonderful. It was going to be sunny hill uplands that no one was talking about leaving the single market. Only a fool would decide to leave such an institution, and that we held all the cards. I can go on and on and on and on these many multiple lines of what they promised that Brexit would bring to the people. And for a lot of especially working class people that voted for Brexit, overwhelmingly voted because they were told that leaving the European Union would somehow make their lives better. It's absolutely unbelievable, but there you go. But as we've already said, a lot of the problems with these people were never the problems caused by the European Union. It was always our own government that was at fault. Most of a bizarre twist, most of Britain's big successes over the past 10 or so years have been because more down to the fact of the European Union than they actually have been because of our own government. But like I say, I do have a full library of Brexit videos, so please do go watch those if you're new. But today we are talking about fantasies, and here's the thing: trying to put policy on something that doesn't exist means that you have no policy at all. And this is what we have seen, that Brexit has no policy. So it's incredibly hard to actually discuss what Brexit is really about. Even the fact that leave in itself means something completely different to loads amounts of people. For example, you go back to the 2016 referendum campaign itself, and you have leave supporting politicians who were advocating for leaving the European Union politically, meaning we wouldn't have a seat in Brussels anymore, but we would remain in the single market and customs union, and that to them was leaving. Now, those very same people are arguing that we should have a full, complete, clean break, no deal Brexit, which would cause absolutely untold economic damage to according to the government's own impact analysis. So you can see here that there is something fantasy and reality, and fantasy does not survive when it meets reality. And here we come on to The Independent today, discussing that exact same thing. Brexit was a fantasy. Brexit was a fantasy from the start, and the truth about leaving the EU is finally becoming clear. The truth is a stubborn stain. You can place a carpet of lies over it, but it never really goes away. You can fill a room with smoke of fantasy, but reality, it is still a room, and where it all really still happens. Brexit was a lie from day one, and we may now be reaching the point where the smoke finally starts to clear. In April of 2016, Michael Gove really did stand behind a lectern in the offices of Vote Leave and say the following words: "There is a free trade zone stretching from Iceland to Turkey that all European nations have access to, regardless of whether they are in or out of the Euro or even the EU. After we vote to leave, we will stay in this zone. The suggestion that Bosnia, Serbia, Albania and Ukraine would stay part of this free trade area, and Britain would be on the outside with just Belarus, is credible as Jean-Claude Juncker joining UKIP." Of course, it is hard to tell whether the threats currently emanating from Downing Street were to blow up the withdrawal agreement and pursue a no deal and renege on our international treaty obligations are even real. We have been here before. The prolonging of Parliament, just to take one example. Those wearying, supposedly high-octane moments are the tragic consequence of a government by by a man-baby, the man-baby in question being Dominic Cummings, though there are quite a lot to choose from. It may well be that a free trade agreement can be reached in time, and that this little paragraph from Michael Gove will finally be vindicated, but his words next can never be. He went on to say, by being part of that free trade zone, we would have full access to the European market, but we would be free from EU regulation. It does not take the power of hindsight to point out that this is complete garbage. It was pointed out at the time by the BBC fact-checkers and others. It is still entirely laughable. But it was on these lies that Brexit was bought and sold. And yet more lies are required to sustain them. Last September, Boris Johnson went to Dublin, stood next to Leo Varadkar, and described the possibility of a no-deal Brexit as a failure of statecraft. Now his threats of a no-deal towards the European Union grow even louder, which is to say, his threat of a blow-off of his own head and leave them splattered with the consequences, as new soundbites emerge. No deal is described as an Australian-style deal, though it describes the complete absence of any kind of deal at all, and it has been backed up by the following words from the Prime Minister. I want to be absolutely clear that we have said right from the start that it would be a good outcome for the UK. What is absolutely clear is that this is a straight up and down 100% proof 24-carat lie. What was once a failure of statecraft was always, in fact, quote, a good outcome. It is a lie so big that it comes up with its own entourage, a great humpback whale of a lie around which other lesser lies must swim in order to keep it clean. Matt Hancock has to go on the radio and say, we'll be leaving with a deal. It's just a question of which one. No deal is now a deal. The no deal except that it's not, and he knows it, and he also knows that eventually everybody else will know it as well. In 4.5 long years, grim years indeed, it has been almost permanently speculated and suggested that the people didn't know what they were voting for. This has never been the most persuasive argument. Electoral events are blustery instruments. That the tens of million people who voted for them may not all be fully up to speed on the intricate details is priced even into the event itself. It is no basis on which to seek or undermine or void the outcome. None of us can now know the individual motivations behind the tens of millions of people that voted, and for the fact that Brexit, that now looks likely to arrive, bears no retention at all to anything that was ever promised, or is a possibility of even a scant amount concerned to the vast majority of those who voted for it and would do so again. The Brexit we appear to be gearing up for, to receive, is one which liberates Dominic Cummings to invest vast amounts of public money into risky tech startups. This was always the entire point of Brexit. This was, in fairness, very much known at the time, though if this was always going to be the end goal, it has been more than a little undermined by Cummings' own prestigious efforts to make sure that the battle was not fought on these terms, but deliberately incendiary lies about the NHS and Turkish immigration. The point of all this is to serve Mr. Cummings' own private neurosis, gleaned from long years spent on the internet, that the future only countries at the forefront of the Fourth Industrial Revolution will be able to shape the future. I offer no expertise as to his wisdom other than to observe that, for example, France and Germany have not concluded that their only hope for survival in the world of tomorrow is to leave the EU and to reinvent themselves as tech startups. The coronavirus pandemic and the success that different governments around the world have had in mitigating effects might be at least enough to consider whether Brexit is evidence of the UK outsmarting everyone else. It doesn't always feel that way. If it was so true, then wouldn't it require so much quiet and so many lies to be able to enable it? And yeah, what more can you say? That it always has and always was. Brexit was sold on a pack of lies, and I really do worry about the anger this is really going to cause and where that anger is going to be pointed at, because rightfully this should be pointed especially at the Brexiteers. Quite frankly, I hope, I dream that maybe one day Nigel Farage won't be able to walk down a street anywhere in the UK or even a pub without being, tarred or feathered or having his pint thrown back in his face. Because that's right, what I hope. That's where the anger should be pointed at. People like him, the Brexiteers. But unfortunately, we now land in this, god-awful situation where we are being promoted by lies, and it's got to have more lies to keep it going. But these lies just cannot last forever, and sooner or later, everyone will know the truth. So, with that, thanks for watching. Please do like and share this video. It does help the channel out massively. There are links down below to my Patreon page should you like to support the channel that way. Also, if you are new, please do hit the subscribe button, because we talk about British politics and Brexit, because you can't talk about one without the other. It's inevitable. And with all that said, thank you for watching, and we'll see you all next time.